wearing all black,
Aloha! Here with JC and Jeff.
Ain't no time for school today.
hitting bombs.
Hey, watch this punch cut lob wedge. Replace your Marshalls with cart girls. They're better looking. They're serving drinks.
Got to hit bombs off the tee.
Phil talking about a guy taking a shit in the cut.
Mahalo!
That's what we did fireside with Phil.
Fire the stick.
Hit bomb and attack the pin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Aloha Press Show. My name is JC out here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Joined today by my co-host Jeff on beautiful sunny California. Jeff, first and foremost, everyone just heard the intro song, and it was an intro song that was banned for a long, long time, ever since Phil Mickelson joined the PGA Tour or the Champions Tour and kind of gave up his ways. But it's back, and it's back in a good way because Phil Mickelson is your PGA major champion winner, PGA championship out in Kauai Island. It's just absolutely incredible. I'm exhausted. Jeff, first takeaway: Phil Mickelson's your major champion at 50 years old, getting it done for a sixth major.
I never thought we'd bring back that intro. Honestly, I thought it was deleted, gone forever. As soon as Phil took his game to the Champions Tour, we were done with him. Phil's always been my favorite player. You know, obviously we like watching Tiger Woods more, but Phil's been my guy through the ups and downs. I've hated on him a lot lately. Did I ever think he would make this happen again? Absolutely not. And I'm bringing out the old Cancun Cup today and cheersing to Phil Mickelson. I know he's not drinking any whiskey, so I'm going to have some for him.
It is one of those things, Jeff. I mean, you presented the question last week on the show. It was simple. Is John Daly or Phil Mickelson gonna make the cut? And it just, there wasn't a lot of faith. There was no faith. Like, between anyone. We weren't the only ones that said Phil is done. He just didn't have the game these last 2 years. Like, seemed like just year after year, like he kept talking about distance, and we encouraged him to gain weight, but it didn't matter. He put it all together, the mental side of it, his physical side of it, the game itself. I mean, it all transpired, and it really shut everyone down. I mean, he was the guy this week that just, from start to finish, from round 1 to round 4, absolutely knocked everyone out. When they came at him for a while, could not stick around. He just was freaking. He just had the best game, which was just absolutely incredible. And he did it not with his putter. He didn't do it with his short game. He did it off the tee and with his iron game. Two things that literally has cost him many majors. And Jeff, I mean, let's just dive into it. I mean, round 1, I mean, you see him at 3 under, and you saw the conditions, and you saw, how difficult that golf course was playing. And I think it was Corey Connors that was sitting there at 5 under. And you really thought, like, hey, like, this was fun. This was a cool run. I mean, did you think at any moment in time, round 1, round 2, that he was going to even be in the final group on a Sunday battling Brooks Koepka?
I thought the same thing that happened at the Wells Fargo was going to happen. He's going to come out and play well round 1, get everybody excited, give everybody a little false hope, and then kind of fade away. Maybe shoot well enough to make the cut, which we didn't think was going to happen. We put him in this. I will never want Phil to get fat again. I will never put Phil in the same category as John Daly again. I'm still shocked by what happened, and I just love that we got to have that happen on a Sunday in a major again with Phil, especially when Tiger's not there. No, I did not think it was going to happen. But here's the quote of the fucking week is, everybody was praising Phil after he won, right?
Yeah.
John Daly, the guy we grouped in with him, the old man, Champions Tour guy. He didn't say congrats, Phil. He pretty much just said, you beat me by 33 strokes, and I didn't even play the weekend. I mean, that's how much better he was.
He was. And John Daly, I mean, just goes out there, shoots a cool 85, one of the longest golf courses, the longest major championship golf course that these guys have ever played, and shot 85, which was impressive. I mean, shit, he's had cancer this year. His Diet Coke was full, I'm assuming, bourbon. Goes out, shoots 85, 87. Unfortunately, misses the cut. Jeff, specifically this golf course, I mean, when you look at the way he did it and the way it got done, I mean, in his career, I mean, you look at it and you realize, like, he's the last major championship he contended in, like truly contended in, was an Open Championship against Henrik Stenson back in 2013 at Marion. And you realize, like, God, Phil Mickelson might have the game for like a link style golf course. I mean, it was incredible how much wind and how much misdirection it was. Jeff, I mean, no one saw this coming, and no one did. But at the same time, like, you're sitting there on a Saturday and you're just like, Phil Mickelson was giving me a heart attack with every shot. I mean, the rope hooks with the 2-wood. I mean, this guy's got the game to battle in the wind, and it was incredible. It was impressive. I don't want to get let's stick with the tie. I don't want to get too far in the future, but like, my question was like, fuck, how many of these things can he win in the next 5 years?
I don't know. I mean, this just opened the door, right? He has the ability still. He's got the game. He's got the focus. He's got his coffee. Somehow he was able to find it this week. And
okay.
he did.
Let me interrupt you. Okay, the coffee thing. All right. You know the thing I did not see this week was that stupid fucking coffee cup on the green. That's what it was, right? That kept his mental, like, get rid of the coffee. Okay, you get rid of the coffee, and you start taking deep breaths, and you start playing golf in about 6 hours. All of a sudden, Phil Mickelson is Fat Phil, just not Fat Phil. He's healthy Phil without the stupid coffee. It was great.
Well, he had the coffee. He just drank it before he got there this time. He didn't have to promote it on the golf course. But what I'll say is this: he talked in the past here, or in the recent past, about losing focus, losing concentration, and just hitting shots when he wasn't committed. You could tell he was trying so hard out there to get his breathing right, but to focus. And then when he wasn't, he backed off. He backed off a lot, and it wasn't because of the crowd or because of the wind or something like that. It was because he just wasn't mentally focused to hit the shot, and it helped. I mean, he stepped up and hit some great shots. Yeah, the wind. I mean, we're not going to get into U.S. Open talk right now, but I bet you he's hoping it's blowing out there at Torrey Pines.
It's one of those things that you look and you realize, and Phil Mickelson, I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, he beat a set of guys. I mean, Louis Oosthuizen, number 1 on the PGA Tour in putting. Brooks Koepka, guy's a freaking killer, a murderer when it comes to PGA Championships, U.S. Opens, these tough conditions. He's the guy who can absolutely murder people out on the golf course, especially when it comes down to really challenging conditions. Another couple guys, Padraig Harrington, an oldie but a goodie, I guess, European Ryder Cup captain, Shane Lowry, Hefty Higgs, Harry Higgs, Paul Casey, everyone answered, Justin Rose, Colin Morikawa, John Rahm, Will Zalatoris, Scotty Scheffler, Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler, Kevin Streelman. You look at the list and you realize a couple things. One, there are guys who do not play particularly well in the rest of the events. They stepped up and played incredible golf, and were battling Phil Mickelson at times. It looked like a heavyweight championship fight between him and Brooks Koepka, him and Louis Oosthuizen, him and Padraig Harrington. I mean, those 4 intermingled, at the top of the leaderboard so often. And you look at Saturday, particularly, and even Sunday. I mean, Phil Mickelson broke out and was like at certain times was 5-6 strokes ahead of everyone. And then you just knew some point in time this golf course is going to cough up a couple bogeys and make it challenging for these guys. I mean, Jeff, on Saturday, at one point in time, he was up by 5 shots. I'm like, shit, Phil's just gonna walk with it. He's gonna walk into Sunday with he can go make 8 bogeys and win.
Well, shit, he was up by 4 or 5 shots on Sunday too. But here's the thing: nobody gave Phil this tournament. He won it. He went out and played better than everybody else. He didn't have that big number on a Sunday, which we're waiting for. You're waiting for that ball to get sprayed, just unplayable and make the double. And he didn't do it. He was hitting bombs. He was hitting smart shots. He did just unbelievable things that the other guys couldn't. They caved to the pressure. It's weird to see. I mean, to see Tiger and Phil, Tiger a few years ago winning the Masters and Phil winning this PGA against the big boys. I mean, just imagine what these guys are thinking in the back of their head, if they had to play against those guys in their prime. I mean, they're losing to them at 50 and in their 40s. I mean, imagine that now they know at least now what Phil had to go through playing Tiger all those years when it was just those two.
It was incredible because, I mean, Phil Mickelson, he hit, and this particular stat I included in our golf email newsletter was including fringe. I don't know what the hell that means, but Phil Mickelson this week hit 72% 72% of greens in regulation. He was third this week. He averaged 316 yards off the tee in that just crazy wind, and he was ranked 37th in putting. The thing that shows me with those particular stats is the one thing that stands out the most is just the average driving distance. I mean, at certain times, Phil Mickelson on Sunday was driving it 10, 12, 15 yards past Brooks Koepka. And don't get me wrong, Brooks Koepka, clearly there's some things going on with his fucking knees. And we'll get to that with the crowd and all that. But Phil Mickelson, 2 years ago, driving down Magnolia Lane, saying that he's going to hit bombs, attacking pins. I mean, explaining the transformation with his body, flexibility, and hitting farther shots. He showed it this week. I mean, this is where that driver was just on a fucking string. It's on a string, Jeff. This is something it was a new Phil. Because 10, 15 years ago, battling everyone else, like Phil would have been in the weeds 80% of the time. This particular time was just incredible. Just his accuracy.
It wasn't like he was, barely hitting fairways or keeping it around. He was dead center. I mean, he's hitting it 360 and it's ending up dead center. And he's putting the pressure on Brooks all day. I'm not going to lie. After the first hole, when Phil, left his wedge short, 3-putted, Brooks made birdie, and they flipped 2 shots, I go, he looks scared. I go, this is going to be bad. Like, he's going to be hanging on all day. And he had some swings that, reminded me of myself when the nerves get you. It's very kind of like Rory-esque. When the nerves hit, they're not good swings and they're not good results. He had a few of those, but man, he held it together for the most part. And the chip in on 5, out of the bunker was that was like the turning point, because I think everything went away. He made birdie there when he's looking at a bogey, and he stepped up.
After he knocked that shot in and got the crowd behind him, and you realize that there's certain things that Phil does really, really well, and it's getting that crowd on his side to get him even motivated. And he talked about in the after show of him being super focused, and his caddy, his brother, saying, "Hey, dipshit, like, you were not committed. You're not seeing the shots that you were hitting." And all of a sudden, like, he start putting them on a string, and he's starting to live up to that 72% of greens in regulation. And the dude he just rolled him in. It was incredible. I mean, the show he did on the putting green was absolutely remarkable. He changed his grip, he changed putters, and all of a sudden he's rolling him in and he's fist bumping. It was absolutely amazing. And Jeff, I mean, I never thought, like, sitting there on Sunday morning recognizing, like, who do I got this today? I mean, I'm Phil Mickelson's my guy. He was the guy I grew up watching because he was the most relatable guy in the sense of how we played golf. It was one of those things that we played golf like Phil Mickelson. We went for everything. We attacked pins. We tried to swing as hard as we could. But then your body and your mind tells you, like, all right, Brooks Koepka, 31 years old, he's going to get his 5th major. He's going to get his 5th major before Phil Mickelson, I mean, even got his first major at his age, which is incredible. But all in all, I'm happy the way it turned out.
I'm going to tell you, when I first saw Phil putting with his old style and going away from that claw, I was excited. I was very happy. He made a lot more putts. He kind of had a weird stance. He had a different stance, kind of a little rigid. I mean, I haven't seen the posture like that. But to go back to the regular grip, he made the putts when he had to, and he putted pretty well. I mean, Louis Oosthuizen, if Louis could have putted, Louis would have won this thing by 4 strokes. I mean, with how well he was hitting the ball. But Phil he had it. It was his week. He came out of nowhere. He beat Brooks in the final round, paired together. Nobody really came up from behind. He broke his club, they said, because he swings so hard. He hits the ball so hard on the range. He broke his club right before and had to throw a little 2-4 wood in the bag or whatever it was. And he just never backed down, man. It was inspirational to watch. It was emotional to watch. And it's just one of those things. We've been lucky ever since we started this show and kind of got into the golf and started talking about it to the world out here. Tiger's won 1. Phil's won 1. I mean, we've had some lifetime things that you never thought were going to happen.
You look at it in just a short span of the show of like my son's life. Like, there was things that we checked off that said, like, hey, this probably isn't going to happen. Phil Mickelson winning a major championship, I thought might have came on the senior tour, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there was no signs, and Phil might have had signs of like playing really good golf, but it just, he never put it together. His iron play was never really well. It seemed like his short game struggled most of the year, most of the time. But again, you get him on a Sunday, and you get him there, you get him out there against Brooks Koepka, and all of a sudden, like, the guy isn't struggling, which is weird. I mean, you talked about breaking clubs on Sunday, 15 minutes before he goes off. He cracks the face of his 2-wood, which, by the way, who carries a 2-wood? Okay, Phil Mickelson has the most ironic, weird club setup I've ever seen. Like, Golf Week produced this article that talked about his like golf set. He's carrying a 2-wood, a 2-iron. I don't even think he's got a 4-iron. He got rid of the 64-degree wedge, which was incredible, thank God. But Jeff, I mean, there was something that he said afterwards, after he raised the Watermarker Trophy, was that the club manufacturer, if your club faces aren't breaking, like, then they're not hot enough. Jeff, do I need to take a Dremel to my driver to get this thing a little thinner, to give me a little more distance off the tee, to hit bombs like Phil? I mean, that's an incredible statement. And to be able to crack the face of a 2-iron and then put in a 4-wood in play on the last days of major is just absolutely incredible how you can overcome those things. I'd had a mental breakdown. My favorite club snaps in half.
Well, hey, obviously, whatever he's got in the bag, everything's hot. I mean, he was hitting the ball a long ways. Obviously, adrenaline has a lot to do with that too. But
Sure.
I'll give you this. Phil, this week, he hit clubs probably 50 yards difference from if he went full swing or if he went half swing or if he went a little draw, a little cut. He was awesome to watch because you'd hear him, and I liked actually hearing him and his brother talk, and they talk through whatever the Pels draw and the Pels this and Pels that. But he knocked things down and moved balls left to right and right to left better than anybody else. And he did it to the safe spots of the green, which that's not Phil Mickelson.
No.
He's usually when he's missing, he's hitting these balls that are flying over the green and getting in big trouble, or he's missing short side. He didn't do that. I mean, he legitimately took the safe route when he had to. He hit some really good shots when he had 9-iron and shorter in, and he made the putts. I mean, that's what he did. It's weird. That's not the Phil we're used to. Like hitting bombs and attacking pins. He hit bombs, but he didn't really attack pins. He played safe and he putted well.
It was really remarkable. And the thing, like, the conversations that him and his brother were having, one, I want to congratulate CBS. For whatever reason, they put a cork in Dottie Pepper for most of the day. It was absolutely intriguing, interesting. That was one of the most intriguing things that I got to hear about, was Phil Mickelson and his brother talking through shots and talking through yardages and distances about, like, hey, if I hit a fade into this wind, it's going to knock it 30 yards off. Or if I hit a draw into it, it's only going to knock it 12 yards off. And I'm like, first of all, I have no clue how you do all that math in your head. Like, it was absolutely, like, he was a mathematician out there. And I think he's, like, the thing that I think he's now relying on is his experience, where some of these guys just don't have the experience. And if it's not going to blow, or all you got to do is bomb it down the middle and then hit wedge in, I think guys like Rory, Dustin, guys who missed the cut, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler got a top 10, but it, that simplicity of the game maybe doesn't play well to Phil's game, where you need 3 or 4 different elements, 3 or 4 different things that you got to think about in your actual golf swing, be able to work the ball both ways. And he just did it better than anyone else, which was incredible. 18 though. 18. I mean, he's got a 2-shot lead. Brooks just made birdie. I mean, you're going into it and you're thinking 18. Phil has had a couple 2-stroke swings in his US Open career. Like, that spectator tent, I thought there was a good opportunity Phil Mickelson might hit a freaking just flare out slice into a tent and give him an absolute, like, no shot to get this thing done. How nervous were you on the tee of 18 when Phil's got a 2-shot lead? Or was there no doubt about it?
Oh no, there was definitely nerves, because the whole birdie bogey thing, 2-stroke swing, I thought it was more likely to happen than it wasn't. because at this point Brooks is finding it, right. He's 2 under through his last like four through the toughest part of the golf course. Had Brooks not had that meltdown through the middle of his round where he played really fast and almost looked like one, he either didn't care or he didn't have a clue what was going on, because there were just some bad shots after bad shots after bad shots from him. No, I really did. I thought Phil, he's going to make this fucking bogey. Brooks is going to make birdie. We're going to go to playoff, and Phil is going to blow this. But I think he knew if he hit the cutter towards those tents, he was going to get his relief. He was going to have 9-iron, 8-iron, short iron in. It's the safest spot. That's the only place he could miss. He couldn't put it on the other side and risk going in the hazard. He couldn't do it. It set up well for him, and he pulled it off. And that 9-iron was solid.
It was one of those things that, like, you recognize, like, history's being made, and I hate to say it, but the coronavirus had to play into something with his focus, because you've got 30,000 people being released, okay, who have been pent up and kept behind barriers, masks, limited amount of alcohol. I mean, as soon as he hit that 9-iron, Brooks Koepka did not fucking matter anymore. Like, it was clearly the show was over. Give him the trophy. Give him what, just give him the crown. Because it was to a point where Brooks Koepka was a forgotten man. And Brooks Koepka, don't get me wrong, he is a fan favorite. He is a villain. He is a killer. He is a guy who people love to root against and love to root for. And he usually draws a big crowd, especially on Saturday. Shit, Brooks Koepka was a big fan favorite. But you mix him with Phil, and all of a sudden you've got 30,000 fucking enemies. And it was just shocking to think that Phil put it 15 feet right of the flag. Brooks Koepka has no chance at all. Sure enough, blows it by and has to fight through the crowd. It was shocking. It was scary. I've never been so nervous in my life on hole 18 with Phil, because there has been times in the past where he's actually given it up. But what was your takeaway on just the crowd in general being released on the 18th hole?
Phil always has a pro Phil crowd. They always loved him. It was interesting to see early on when Brooks took the lead and they were kind of going back and forth. There was a lot of shouting for Brooks early, and I'm like, there's no way these people like Brooks more than Phil. But it sounded like that early on. The last 2/3 of that round, it was all Phil. It was all Phil, and it was all Phil. But 18, I mean, I talked about it last night to everybody I talked to on the phone. It was very Tiger-esque of the Tour Championship when they're coming up behind him, and they controlled it though. They kept the crowd away from Tiger.
Kinda.
They didn't have any control over the crowd with Phil. He was swarmed. He was sucked into it. Brooks was sucked into it. And you know what? It made it even better. I fucking loved it. There's people coming up, taking pictures with him, smacking him on the back. He kept that club in his hand just in case. The 9-irons are dangerous. You just ask Tiger's wife, or his ex-wife. But it's one of those things. I mean, that made that tournament. That is something that Phil will never forget. We'll always remember. And, it's iconic. And for him, when he emerged, out of the sea of people in the COVID era, it was the roar was unbelievable. Nobody really cared when Brooks emerged. Maybe he came out with a limp. I don't know. But it was something special, man. I didn't tear up, but I was close.
Jeff, it was one of those things that, like, in sports, specifically in golf, like, I only remember one other time that happening. And again, it was at the Tour Championship with Tiger Woods. And when you saw that at the Tour Championship, you were like, this is fucking crazy. And just fans are there, but they've got like a ton of security. They were prepared for it. The fucking PGA Championship, oh my God. They had about 3 cops out there trying to control hundreds and hundreds of people on that fairway. And it was absolutely perfect. If you're going to release the fans, you've been kept up, you've been fucking anchoring them down. And sure enough, bring it to the South. Sure enough, South Carolina absolutely goes fucking batshit crazy, and I love it. If you're gonna be a fucking icon in the golfing world, you got to be ready to deal with the crowd. Okay, you want the notoriety, you want the fucking fame. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the guy giving Phil a hug after he and then the security guard taking him out. That's my favorite part. That was the best part. That was the coolest thing in the world. The guy that got beat up by the security guard is gonna have the best story in the world. Probably went to jail for the night, but it's one of those things you look at and you realize like he's a fucking icon in the game of golf. Like Phil Mickelson absolutely made history, and he did it in a way that Tiger Woods would have.
Well, and you know what? About the crowd, real quick, before I get into something else. The way they let them surround the green too, I loved. They were pretty much on the fringe. They were on the fringe of that green, which made the scene even better. But everybody remembers Jack winning, the Masters at 46, and that's kind of like the one they talk about when they talk about age.
Yeah.
Phil is forever going to go in the record books. He was almost 51. I mean, he's like a month away from 51. Yeah. I mean, it is stupid to think he's hitting the ball further than he ever has. He's in better shape than he's ever been. He's beating all these youngsters, and there are some really good golfers out there right now, way better than the fields that him and Tiger used to beat back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're doing it at this age. It's absolutely crazy. Do I think he's going to win the U.S. Open? I don't know, but he's not gone. We almost wrote him off. He is back on the podcast intro. He's back.
He's absolutely back. And I need to initiate apology. Because you looked at him and you're like, Phil, just go to the booth. I think I said it. I know I said it. I go, fucking kick Nick Faldo's dumbass out of there and get yourself a fucking CBS coat. Not anymore, buddy. You are far from the fucking booth. Because what you did on that Sunday was absolutely open up an opportunity where I could see Phil battling in a major championship at 55 years old against a 49-year-old Tiger Woods. That's what that showed me this week. Like, it proved to me that these guys have enough fucking money and enough drive and enough competitive spirit to absolutely go out there and fucking kick ass at an older age. Jack Nicklaus, I don't know what he was eating, okay, at the age 46 that gave him the shakes or the shits or whatever, but it just shocked me that we're gonna see another battle between Phil and Tiger, maybe at a major championship, and that just excited me. That's what I was truly thinking about. And hell, even Tiger Woods might have thought of that.
No, 100%. There is nobody that watched this tournament this week, especially Sunday, that it had more of an impact on than Tiger Woods. I guarantee that. He will do whatever it takes for the rest of his life to get back to form, to be able to play golf at the major championship level against Phil, against Brooks, those guys. There's no doubt in my mind now. For a second there, after the car crash, I thought, maybe he's done. He will come back with a prosthetic and beat these guys. He'll find a way. There's no doubt in my mind.
Trust me, I guarantee you Tiger Woods took his Lark scooter out to his fucking practice green and started fucking putting. I promise you. I mean, Tiger Woods issued a tweet that said, truly inspirational to see at Phil Mickelson do it again at 50 years old. Congrats. And sure enough, Phil Mickelson, 8 hours later said, thank you. I'm pulling for your quick return. You know why? Because Phil Mickelson has absolutely won the second season of their career. He's absolutely dominated in the later years of his career, which is absolutely impressive. And this major championship, don't get me wrong, is absolutely incredible, inspirational. It was proposed earlier on Twitter that pretty much was said, like, what was more impressive? The 2019 Masters Championship with Tiger Woods, or Phil Mickelson winning at almost 51 years old at the PGA Championship? What do you think? What is your take?
So, more impressive of a win is this PGA, because that course was super tough, really difficult. The conditions, the field, by far much harder to win than the Masters for some of these guys that have won it 4 or 5 times, like Tiger. More fun to watch, more emotional was the Masters with Tiger Woods. I mean, in Sunday Red, coming down, in Augusta, I legitimately had tears in my eyes for that one. Close with Phil. So I think winning this one was much more tougher, but better viewing and more emotional was Tiger's Masters.
I'm gonna agree with you. It's one of those things that were proposed, and my heart says Phil Mickelson, and my brain says Tiger Woods. So it was 2 incredible victories, and the guy who got the brunt of it was Brooks Koepka. I mean, a couple T2s. I mean, Brooks Koepka has absolutely been at the at the teeth of the saw when it comes to these older guys kicking his ass. And it just what do you see in Brooks Koepka? I mean, the guy consistently puts himself, and keep in mind, I mean, last year at the San Francisco PGA Championship, Brooks again was in the mix. He missed the cut earlier at the Masters, but God, I could see him winning one of these next two majors at the U.S. Open or the Open Championship. I mean, God, he's a fucking killer when it comes to major champions.
You really can't count him out. I mean, you could say he's going to play 20 tournaments throughout the year, and 16 of them are going to be non-majors. And he might not make the cut. He might not play well. He'll use the practice rounds. But the 4 times a year that he comes to the majors, you can't count him out. No matter what's happening in his life, no matter if he's slipping and falling and busted kneecaps and hurt, that. He is a savage. He's a killer. This was the first time, though, I've seen him kind of fall apart, like for more than 1 or 2 holes. Like he had a rough go, and especially the par fives. I mean, those are his bread and butter. He's 9 under on the par fives for the first 3 days, and he played them over par on Sunday. He ended up in some bad spots, but that he hit some bad shots. But I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time in major championships.
That was probably the shocking thing, because Brooks Koepka is usually mentally looked like he was drained. It looked like he had taken a few too many pain pills and a few too many sessions with the surgeon.
Fuck, he's doing full workouts every day before his rounds. I mean, he's posting about it. He's fucking doing rows and dumbbells and kettlebell swings. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's Sunday of the major. You might want to just fucking chill out a little bit, Brooks.
It was one of those things you looked at and like he just made some mental mistakes. I mean, at one point in time, his caddy looks at him and goes, how are you going to hit this shot? He had like a 70-yard bunker shot. He's like, I'm going to splash it out. And I'm like, you're going to splash out a 70-yard bunker? What are you hitting that with, a 6-iron? Like and then he left himself a super awkward, shitty chip shot. And then he just coughed up 2 shots. And it seemed like if he was a little bit more mentally focused and without these knee injuries, God, it would have been a scary day for the rest of the golfing world.
Rarely do we ever say somebody needs to slow down in golf. We're always talking about picking up the pace and whatnot. But there were some times Brooks needed to fucking take a chill pill and slow down a little bit. He'd duff a chip and then he'd get right up and hit it and, put it 8 feet and miss the putt and make bogey, make double. I'm like, if there ever was a time to slow down a little bit, he needed to do it on Sunday. But about pace of play real quick, I loved the rangefinders. I loved that the guys were using them, and I love that the caddies weren't walking off distances. I mean, it was very quick. Hit it, get a number, talk about the win, and grab a club and go. I loved it. I hope that they incorporate into more events.
I agree with you. They actually they assessed a 2-stroke penalty, I think on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember the player, but yeah, he was put on the clock. They're like, "Hey, dude, speed up," and he didn't, and they freaking hit him with a two shot penalty, which was relieving. The rangefinder thing, I didn't really think it was gonna be that effective and or pick up the speed of play. But you're right, it actually it picked it up quite a bit, and they were using it on areas where I normally would have been just look in your stupid book, and then I thought about it, I've seen those stupid books. You got to do a lot of math. It is really easy just to freaking laser it and go, all right, let's go. Because they could actually, it was just a lot faster.
Well, and it's cool to see the players use it. It's not like their caddies are shooting it until they're like, give me that fucking thing. Boom. All right, 138. Boom, let's adjust for the win. Let's go. And it was awesome to see because it kind of makes it more relatable to the average golfer and the everyday Sunday guy that goes out there and loves his rangefinder. I hope you get a new one someday here. Do you have a new one? Or are you still using that sideways one that you have to plug and put a line on?
Yes, my rangefinder is the trustiest old one. It's it's good for up to 140 yards, but you got to have one of those fancy pin or those fancy pins where it's got the reflective tape on it because I can't get a yardage to save my life. Everyone asks me oh, what's it to the flag? And I'm like, it's 120 to the pin. I'm assuming it's in the front, add 6-7 yards and you got a number. But yeah, no, I haven't got a new rangefinder yet. But It's in the mix. Hey, if you guys want to sponsor us at the beautiful, our podcast and want to do a little rangefinder sponsor, I would gladly take one on. I would love to try out one. But let's talk about something else that was kind of relatable, Jeff. The bunkers, right? All the sand at this championship was not bunkers. They were calling it sand, or they were not. It wasn't a hazard. What did you think about them being able to take practice strokes and or like grounding their club? They could pull a Patrick Reed. It wasn't a big deal. What did you think about that?
Well, I think it was good for the PGA Tour to just determine that every sandy area was not a bunker, no matter where it was at on the course. So there's no Dustin Johnson's confusion like at the U.S. Open. So that was good. But you know what? In watching it, the majority of the guys didn't ground their club. They played it like a regular bunker. They didn't take practice shots in the bunker. Then you got a guy like Kevin Streelman, who's obviously nervous as fuck on a Sunday. He's falling apart trying to save his round, and he's taking full on divots out of the sand, just trying to pray to find a way to figure it out. But yeah, no, I like it. They took all the confusion out of it. They let them play it how they wanted it. And it's a sandy course. I mean, there's sand everywhere. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was cool. I think it's something that, like, if I was PGA of America or the USGA or the RNA, I'd be like, from now on, every sand bunker out in the world no longer is one. Like, let everyone ground their stupid club. Let everyone take a practice swing out of it. Because it's one of those things, like, if you're gonna let them do it at a major championship, like, fuck, it's so difficult for some of these. Hell, it's difficult for me out there, and I'm shooting in the 90s recently. So it just, you look at it and I saw it and I was like, that's pretty cool. I think it would be a good addition.
Something about the sand that I thought was funny is when the guys got in the sand and after they hit, the caddy would go rake where they hit from.
Yeah.
But they didn't give a fuck about their footprints.
No.
So it was funny. It's like they'll hit that one little spot where they took a divot out where they hit their shot, but then there's 4,000 footprints in it. I thought it was fun. It was good. It's fun to watch, and there's no doubt, there's no need for these fucking guys that watch the tournament and want to call in and be the tattletale on rules.
Yeah,
hey, they took that out of play.
We don't want another Abraham Answer incident where the 8K camera picked up freaking 8 granules of sand that he hit on his backswing. It was one of those things that I recognized that, like, I enjoyed kind of the the gamemanship. Shane Lowry, like, hits it into a bunker, gets up onto a lip where, like, they didn't rake because it was a foot mark and it was like a stepping, and he couldn't hit it out. He had to blade it into the bunker, and it was one of those things that, like, hey, assholes, can we start raking this shit? But I thought it was cool because I thought it was a true penalty, that you were in a fucking penalty area where it was an actual challenge. It wasn't this, like, crisp, clean, best lie that you're going to get normally at a PGA Tour event. You get some, hinky little seashell under your fucking golf ball might fuck it up a little bit. I like that part of it. You hit it in a hazard and you get penalized for it.
Well, it definitely made it tougher because in regular tournaments and even in major championships, the guys want to be in the bunker instead of the rough around the greens. So this made it difficult because, you never know what you're going to end up with, what your lie is going to look like. And there's some guys that tried to finagle the system and call rules officials, hey, my ball's embedded. And Louis Oosthuizen tried to pull the embedded ball. And, like, it's a bunker, bro. The guy's like, he looked at it for like 2 seconds. He's like, the rules official's like, no, play your shot. Come on.
So, I mean, wrapping up the PGA Championship. I mean, Phil Mickelson's your winner. Jeff, what was your favorite moment this last week at the championship? Is there one particular situation, shot, hole that you just absolutely just fell in love with?
I'm not going to say I can't. I don't have one moment because I was kind of engulfed in the entire week of golf, from trying to run home to watch it from work, watching it on my phone, pausing it on a Sunday, and turning my phone and my watch on airplane mode so that I could watch it live and sit there and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and eat snacks and just kind of get immersed in the whole the aura of the PGA Championship with Phil Mickelson, with a chance to win. But I think the biggest takeaway for me on Sunday was Phil coming down the stretch and not making the big number. You know, he made a couple bogeys. He had the strokes to play with, though. He made the bogeys, not the double bogeys. He played smart. 17, I think, for me, when he hit that ball, he hit it perfect, and it rolled back into the sandy weed area. Old Phil tries to blast like a freaking 64-degree high, probably ends up in the water, you know, long past it. This Phil just said, I'm going to hit on the green. I'm going to two-putt, make my bogey, go to 18, give myself 2-stroke lead, and it worked. It was just nice to see a different Phil.
It was we saw a very different Phil this week, which was really remarkable. One of my favorite moments this week was it came from the television coverage. When Phil Mickelson is walking up to the green, you know, pretty much like a prince, you know, being catered into the arena, into the gauntlet. Dottie Pepper goes, "Oh, me and Brooks are trying to get through this crowd. We'll be there in a couple minutes." Like, it was just like swimming through people. Jeff, I mean, that was my favorite moment because you realize like everyone is a Phil Mickelson fan and everyone wanted to get a piece of that moment, which was incredible. What was your take on after the press conference of Brooks Koepka? Again, absolute gentleman on the green. You know, he was clearly a little closer than Phil was putting wise. He missed his putt, two putted, and pretty much said, "Hey, Phil, this is your show," and gave Phil the opportunity to really celebrate and really had the last shot. What did you think about his comments after the round in regards to the crowd and people? You know, he kind of, you know, they might have taken some shots at me. What did you think about the crowd and him kind of making some of those statements?
Here's the thing. I don't think anybody intentionally tried to hit his injured knee. I really don't. I think that the euphoria and the excitement surrounding Phil got the best of people, and he got sucked up in it. That's what happened. You know, Dottie didn't get hurt because nobody knows who Dottie is. You know, I wish somebody would have grabbed her microphone, put her headset on, and started commentating a little bit. Those are comments I wish Brook would have kept himself. You know, bring it up with the PGA Tour, bring it up with the guys that, you know, run security at the next event. You know, we don't need to know that you're mad because it's going to do a setback to your rehab. Whatever. He said that in 4 rounds of golf, his knee never affected one shot, which it's obvious. He played really well. He can't get down and read his putts. But I think the comments about people hitting his knee in that, you know, kind of that scene on 18, yeah, you keep those to yourself and maybe just bring that to the PGA Tour because you just look like a crybaby. Honestly, you just look like a crybaby. Like, and he is not a crybaby. He's a tough son of a bitch. He's a battler. He's a fucking go-getter, and he's a great golfer. And that just kind of took away from his second place finish. I know he's pissed. He wants to win, right? Yeah. I love it. He wants to win, but you don't need to go LeBron James on us and make excuses.
No, you know, I get where he's coming from. If I had 2 knee surgeries in the last year, I'm battling to try to win a major championship. I'm being sucked up into a crowd that's not well contained. I think the comments could have. You shouldn't make that be your excuse. Okay, that can't. When you lose and you're dealing with the press conference, I think you should at least keep some of those comments to yourself or. I can't say what I really feel because I think I would get fined. Just fucking say it. Okay, clearly they fucked up. Okay, the PGA Championship, they absolutely screwed up. You should not let that amount of people get sucked in to suck in your players like that. That's one, incredibly unsafe, but at the same time, everyone wants to talk about how tough and how crazy golf is a sport. Okay, even though you can smoke cigars, drink booze, and fucking party and still play well. If you want to act like it's a fucking sport, if you want it to be like the NFL or the MLB or the NBA, guess what? That's part of the fucking thing. That's part of the show. Sometimes shit happens. Sometimes you get punched in the mouth. Ricky Fowler after it claimed that he got hit in the face. I mean, Ricky Fowler, it's because your dumbass was wearing that orange shirt, okay? And no one wants to be around you. But my take is this. The PGA Championship should absolutely not let that many people be around him. I get it. But if you're gonna go off like you said you're gonna, just do it.
Well, and here's the thing: you pay your caddy a lot of money, right? You just made even a tie second got over $1 million. You pay him a lot of money. You're
just
kind of a bouncer too. You got to protect your player, right? You got to protect your player. You can't just let him get sucked up and be by himself. Dottie Pepper ain't going to protect him.
no. So with that being said, I think I got out of hand, but I loved it. If that's what you want.
Hey, exactly.
I love
It got out of hand, but it made a moment for the ages. Something we probably won't see again because they'll put all kinds of protocols in place where that won't happen again. But it was amazing to see. It was amazing to watch. And like I said, when Phil emerged from the crowd and he's still carrying that 9-iron and he knows he's going to win a major championship again at 50 years old, it was unbelievable.
It was absolutely remarkable. So wrapping up the PGA Championship, Jeff, is there anything else that we missed that we might have hit on? I think the thing that we need to bring up. As you guys are listening to this, one, I really appreciate everyone subscribing, liking, leave a comment if you're listening here on the podcast. It really helps us, and also subscribe helps us with our numbers. Eventually we'll actually get paid to do this one of these days. But Jeff, there was a lot of heat and a lot of anger when it came to the course conditioning and some of the shots going in the water. Saturday, or no, I think it was Saturday. One guy was kind of in the mix, and he took out some of his frustration on a tee marker. What is your take on guys going ape shit on tee markers? What the hell are we doing?
Well, that was totally unacceptable. I mean, I've seen a lot of rage in my days playing with my brother. I've seen clubs thrown, broken, tree branches, everything you can think of. I've seen it. But at that type of stage in that moment, like, I get you're upset, but to hit the tee marker, and one, your club head goes flying, and I think at some point it almost hit his playing competitor or the caddy of his one of his partners. Yeah, and he wasn't having it either. That's unacceptable. The guy beating the shit out of his golf bag, Wyndham Clark, that's unacceptable because your chip rolls back to you. Hit a better shot, right? Be better. I say it all the time. You're not good enough to get mad to the average golfer. And then for these guys, be better. You didn't see the top guy. I just watched Phil Mickelson shoot 6 under on this golf course. Okay. Phil Mickelson did that and he won. He beat everybody. Be better.
You can't act like that. And the reason why you can't act like that is because if you come to one of our golf tournaments and you go teeing off on one of our fucking team markers, I'm going to lose my mind. And I'm going to tee off on you because we don't have a fancy replacement like the PGA Championship does. Okay, I can't just be like, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll replace that one. No, fuck off. Like, this shit ain't going to happen. You can't be doing that nonsense. Like, and beating up your golf bag. What the hell did your golf bag do to you? It's your fault you hit a shitty chip shot. I hit 3 chunky chip shots earlier today. I didn't go beat up anything. I wanted to, but I didn't.
It's unacceptable to beat up your own golf bag, but go ahead and beat it up if you want to. Those are your own clubs, right? If you want to be a psycho like that. But yeah, if you come after one of the Aloha Press tee markers, which we have 36, we have 18 hole worth of tee markers, 36 tee markers. You break one of those, one, your club's going to break for sure because they're solid wood. But 2, yes. we will find you and break every club in your bag if you ruin one of those markers. Those things, Bo Gilman, Aloha Products, Maddox Vukovic, those things are forever. We've stained them, we've lacquered them. They are not going anywhere. So don't even think about it at the home game, at the Aloha Press Classic in Cancun. Don't even think about it. Those things are fucking priceless.
Well, so wrapping up the PGA Championship, absolutely. I look forward to Phil Mickelson moving on in his career and having 5 years exemption into the U.S. Open. He didn't even he did what we said he needed to go do. Go out and win and get yourself a berth in the U.S. Open. Jeff, let's not get too far over our skis, but he's got to be a favorite to Torrey Pines now. Like, he's got to be the guy, you would think.
Well, JC, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if I'm going to have first pick or second pick coming into that weekend here in 3 or 4 weeks. I know I'm going to be in San Diego just after it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm picking Phil. I'm picking Phil. My pick's in for that one already. I know we got 3 tournaments before that, but I'm picking Phil.
You might as well, because I am down $5. Okay, I picked a trusty number 1 in the world, and goes out there and shoots 7 over, which I was like okay with because someone else was on the cut line on Friday. Jordan Spieth 3-putted from about 12 feet to be missing the cut. He was on the plane, and then all of a sudden, plus 4 was all of a sudden he had made the cut, and unfortunately, Dustin Johnson missed it by one shot, which frustrated the hell out of me. But yeah, Jeff goes up in the bottle count 5-0. Very excited about that. I'll be repaying that very soon. Yeah, U.S. Open. Good God, how do you not want Phil Mickelson to be in that mix?
Mark it down. I don't care who's playing, who's the hottest guy in the world at that time. I've already made my pick for that tournament.
Phil has to be the hottest guy. I mean, it's on the ocean, lots of wind. He's played there before, home course. Can't wait to get to the U.S. Open. I'm so pumped up. But really appreciate everyone listening to this point in the show. I mean, fuck, we've talked about the PGA Championship for 51 minutes, which I was Jeff and I limited our conversation yesterday after the championship because we just didn't want to get into it too much because we wanted you guys to have all the good content being dished out. But let's get to our picks this week at the letdown championship, the Charles Schwab Challenge out in Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas. Defending champion, pandemic, COVID, returning champion Daniel Berger is defending. He won last year over Colin Morikawa and got that beautiful jacket, that plaid jacket. It looks like a beautiful kitchen counter table, something like that. But Jeff, I'm going to give it to you, right? I mean, normally I don't know how we even make these picks anymore. I'm so
What?
I could have picked anyone last. I could have picked Ricky Fowler and would have beat your guy, but I picked the number one golfer in the world, and sure enough, he shit down his leg. So
here's my
choice.
thought. Usually it is winner's choice. We've gone away from it, and I don't want to pick first. I'm up 5 bottles. I want you to pick first because I've got a couple in my mind here, and I don't know who to pick. I'm going to base it off of who you take. So as the winner, it's kind of like a kickoff. You know, when you win the coin toss, I'm gonna defer, and I'm gonna give it to you.
I appreciate that, Jeff. And looking at the statistics and the odds, I mean, to give you guys kind of an idea, Jordan Spieth is 10-1. Colin Morikawa is 12-1. Justin Thomas 13-1. Daniel Berger 13-1. Abraham Ancer 21-1. Phil Mickelson is going to be playing this week. I can't imagine Phil Mickelson being a great pick. Phil Mickelson absolutely needs about 4 days. God, can you imagine how worn out that guy is?
Well, yeah, and he's got to go fast for 36 hours because he talked about how he does that. That's a day and a half of fasting he's got to do here in between tournaments. Phil's not a good pick. We love Phil. Phil's back on the bandwagon. He's back on the fucking intro.
He's back on the show.
He's not the pick this week though.
No, I don't think so. So I'm gonna go with I went to the power rankings at this beautiful tournament. I'm gonna go with someone that is a little younger. I don't know. I'm gonna go with it's kind of in between Scotty Scheffler and Joaquin Niemann. I hate to even do this because I hate the guy. He played pretty well. I'm gonna go with Patrick Reed. I'm picking 9th ranked.
Wow.
Patrick Reed. It's a gut shot, but I think his hefty ass is so pissed off that he wasn't shown on TV this week that he's gonna make a little run at the Charles Schwab Challenge. He's a guy who tends to capitalize in non-major week events, especially after the fact.
Well, I was kind of hoping you would pick my second pick or my first pick so that I would take Jordan Spieth for 3 weeks in a row to beat you.
Yeah.
You didn't take the guy that I want, so I'm not going to take Jordan Spieth this week, even though he's the favorite. I'm going to go to the guy who's maybe like 12-1, I think, Colin Morikawa. He struggled a little bit. He played well. I mean, he still shot 1 under at the PGA. But I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa against Patrick Reed this week to get me to 6 bottles up, hopefully, after this week. My liquor cabinet is going to be so full when you come to California. I'm going to take you to Bevmo. I'm going to give you a break. I might even take you to Walmart. Walmart's got the cheapest booze around. We'll go to fucking Walmart and we'll get the cart and we'll just load it up and I'll just stack my fucking shelves with all this booze you owe me.
It's gonna be at a point. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm coming for you still. There's a long season. Jeff, I love how you just a sympathy pick. Oh, in the power rankings, keep everyone in mind. Power rankings, Colin Morikawa is ranked number 1. Okay, give everyone a break. In Vegas, he's ranked second at 12-1 behind Jordan Spieth. So great pick. I'm taking a long shot, which is not a very long shot, but so yeah, there's your guys' breakdown of the beautiful Charles Schwab Cup, which I can't imagine a lot of the world is watching as we wrap things up.
It's the week after a major. You know, we're going to pay attention to it a little bit, not a lot. Phil Mickelson's going to be in the field. Maybe he'll do something stupid. You never know. But riding high off of last week still. We've got 3 weeks until the U.S. Open out in San Diego, California. You're coming home for the home game. The only bad thing about the home game is we're on the same team. You can't win a bottle back in that event.
It's I'm sure we'll go out and play a couple practice rounds. And as a reminder, yeah, we're hosting the home game. I want to thank our title sponsor, Acorn Hills Animal Center, located there in Sutter Hill, California. Go check them out. Huge supporter of the Aloha Press, and also some of the some of the folks that we also support in the community, the Amador County Sheriff's Office Canine Fund, which is pretty special. Big shout out if you guys are looking for a home to buy. Sierra Homes and Properties up in Pioneer, California. Go talk to Jill. She's absolutely remarkable and really helped us out also with the golf tournament. So
2 more sponsors too: Colton Merriman and Dominic Vicari out at Motivate. Personal trainers, group trainers. They've sponsored us through the Classic last year. They're sponsoring Closest to the Pins cash. I mean, we're going to have a $200 cash prizes at the home game, which you never see that out at Castle Oaks for Closest to the Pin. And, they're going to be there for the Classic this year in Edgewood again. So shout out to those guys that Motivate. Dominic's little slogan is, a year ago today, you wish you had started. Go sign up, get out there, work out, be part of the family.
Yeah, it's like golf. I mean, you got to be fit. I mean, I played a couple rounds of golf in a row, and I feel like I need to go work out a little bit. It's keep things motivated, right? It's absolutely really appreciate those guys. It's absolutely incredible. Another shout out Wade's Farm helping us out again with this tournament, which is pretty incredible.
Hey, I heard Wade's Farm's giving everybody in the tournament a jar of his aioli.
That's what I hear. That's what's in the mix.
That's big doings right there. That stuff flies off the shelves faster than the Aloha Press hats.
It's pretty remarkable. So we've got it's. If you're not part of the home game, I recommend signing up. You might not get as many cool player gifts because I need you to sign up about a week ago. But we'll make it worth your while. We've got. I mean, it's gonna be incredible. I'm pretty pumped up about. Looking forward to going back to California. Heard you guys are opening it up. You guys are gonna look like South Carolina. As we come down the stretch there at beautiful Castle Oaks. Jeff, I mean, shit. As we wrap this thing up, I mean. Look forward to talking to you here in a week or so. I don't know when we're going to do the show. It's Memorial Day weekend. Might be a late night drunk edition. You never know here at the Aloha Press show. Jeff, with that being said, you want to wrap it at that?
Yeah. Hey, I'll come back next week, see what we got in store. Congratulations to Phil Mickelson. He's the fucking man. Tiger's coming back. Mark it down right now. There will be a Tiger-Phil battle, not known as the match or anything like that. There will be a Tiger-Phil battle in our future.
Final group, absolutely write it down. The Aloha Press is making predictions. And as always, the inspiration we got from Phil Mickelson, I say it every week, as always, hit bombs, attack pins, and Aloha Press. Cheers.
Wearing all black.
Aloha! Here with JC and Jeff.
Ain't no time for school today.
Hitting bombs.
Hey, watch this punch cut lob wedge. Replace your Marshalls with Cardinals. They're better looking. They're serving drinks.
Got to hit bombs off the tee.
Phil talking about a guy taking a shit in the cut.
Mahalo!
That's what we did fireside with Phil.
Fire the stick.
Hit bomb and attack the pin.